Alrighty, so we're live. Hey folks, welcome to this episode of the Millennial Cop podcast. Today I'm here with German Rivas from the Canton Police Department. Herman, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm originally from Honduras. I've been in the United States since the age of 9. I've been living in the city of Canton for about 13 years now, and I've been with the Canton Police Department for that amount of time, 13 years. Started as an officer, became a detective, was a detective for quite a long time, and for the past almost 3 years now, I was promoted to lieutenant over Uniform Patrol Division, and recently I was transferred to the Special Operations Division, which encompasses the traffic unit and the detective division.
Awesome. Now, Herman, I think it's kind of important for everybody out there to know that you and I we worked together.
Yes.
Well, not necessarily together, but you were in CID the time that I was there, and you have kind of a rather unique story. You're not just a cop; you also you do something else too, don't you?
Yes, I'm a pastor of a local Hispanic congregation, which started in '99 when I moved here.
Awesome. Now, did they start that outreach because of you being here, or did it just happen to come together?
Well, actually, the First Baptist Church of Canton was the one that brought me here to start a Hispanic ministry. And because I was not able to be compensated full-time for that ministry, I applied for the Canton Police Department because I was certified in Louisiana. I was a probation parole officer, so it was easy for me to step into that position.
That's fantastic. Well, Herman, we're going to go ahead and kick off with the slow fire questions here. I want to start everything off with some type of leadership success quote. You know, it gets kind of the juices flowing. So what is your favorite leadership or favorite success quote?
Well, this is one that I believe I came up with. I haven't seen it. I don't know if somebody else had wrote it before me, but I was the other day just thinking about that, and this came to mind. And my quote is, a true leader is not one that demands or commands a following, but instead has demonstrated a worthiness to be followed.
Oh, I like that. I like that. So that's a German Rivas original, huh?
Yes, I believe so. I haven't seen it written down somewhere else.
Awesome.
But, by demonstrating a worthiness to be followed, I mean, that he sets the example. It's not something that he commands or demands, but through his skills and his work ethic, he gets people to follow him.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And, you've seen me grow and develop over the years. You've seen me when I first got certified to where I am today. And you've seen that. And I feel lucky to have been able to take part in your, well, not take part in, but to see you develop as well and to glean some leadership from you too. Now, you probably helped me out a little bit more than being a man of faith. And it showed me that can be done. You can be a cop and you can be a Christian at the same time. So for that, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So that you had an influence on me. So who is someone that has had a tremendous impact on your leadership, or maybe someone that's been a mentor to you?
I would say it would be Dr. George Anderson. He is actually the senior pastor of First Baptist Canton, and he has mentored me and helped me to understand how to deal with people, especially difficult people, and how to use that to the benefit of the organization or the department. So I think he's been a great influence in my life.
Fantastic. What is something that he has taught you from the spiritual aspect that you've been able to transform into the public safety sector?
Well, just to remember who we're serving, and to be humble, and to just be someone that's what's the word I'm looking for? Not only be humble, but remember that we're here to serve and not to be served. And he taught me that.
Yep, exactly. That's some. I wish some more people were taught that.
Yeah, even in police work, and then we say that we have the slogan to serve and protect, but we sometimes forget that it is a service. We're serving others and putting others above our desires and our needs, and we have to forget about our issues and prejudices and all those things and just do the best job that we can.
Yep, I agree with that 100%. it's almost kind of cliched to say it, but you should learn how to put on work when you get to work, and then leave all of your other stuff, leave all your trash at the door. And like I said, it's kind of cliche to say that kind of stuff, but there really is. There's a lot to be said for that kind of mindset about, okay, now I'm at work, we have to deal with work stuff now, and when I'm away from work, hey, it's time to deal with personal stuff now.
Yeah, and he's helped me to separate the two. And like you said, it's not easy, but it can be done.
Yep, fantastic. Now you're currently a lieutenant at the city of Canton, so that puts you at command staff level for the city, correct?
Yes.
Awesome. Now, as a member of command staff, you get a unique kind of perspective from the the first line supervisor or from the line level officer. So you see a lot of big table meetings, what I call big table meetings, and you guys get to sit down and meet with people who kind of direct the department and stuff like that. But I think that one of the most important things that can happen is creative thinking. So how do you encourage creative thinking within your organization?
Uh, the way I do it is by giving the people an opportunity to be part of the process. Um, Getting the ideas from them, making sure that they take ownership in the decisions that are made in the department. That's the way I've always done it, and that's the way I feel it's important, because that way they can take ownership with any major decisions that are in the department, feel that they're part of the process and not just something that is forced upon them.
I still keep up with a few people from the city of Canton, and I've actually heard people say that they like the fact that you do that. Like they feel that you value their input and you value their opinion. So you can know that that is actually working, because I hear people telling me that that's what you do.
Well, and on the other side of that, because they are, because they're the ones who make us look good. They're the ones that are out there hitting the beat in the streets, and depending on what they're doing, how they feel they take ownership in the department, is how good of a job they will do for you, and that reflects on me. But it's not something that I take credit for. I give them fully the credit.
That's awesome. And you and I have both seen leaders that are more than willing to take all the credit and then
Oh yeah,
shelf off the blame, and it's you kind of want to wring their neck.
yeah, I've seen that. Yes.
So, where do some of the best ideas in your organizations come from?
Again, I would say it comes from the people that are out there, working and seeing the things that they see every day. See, we forget, we don't get to see that side anymore, and sometimes as leaders we forget that we were there also, and they have a different perspective than we do on things that are happening within the department and outside the department. So I think the best ideas that I've encountered in my experience has been by those officers, not maybe the first line supervisors, but the officers that are out there that are actually seeing from the bottom everything that's being done, by the staff or the leaders, and sometimes it's not something that they agree with.
Yep. Everybody that I've done an interview with, Herman has told me the exact same thing, that we have a tendency to undervalue the opinions and the thoughts of the newest employee. And, I think that, that's a tragedy, because just because someone doesn't have tenure at a department doesn't mean that they don't have good ideas, and that's kind of sad.
Exactly, and even if they're, sometimes we think because they're too young they really don't know what they're doing, or we don't value their input. But I think all of it's important, and you take the good, you take the bad, and especially when they can understand that some of the ideas that they give you implement because you believe that they're right, and it helps them, so they learn to take ownership, and they feel good about the job, the department. So I think that's important.
Yeah, that absolutely. I couldn't agree with you. I couldn't agree with you more. Now, we touched a little bit about vision and stuff like that. Now, what do you feel is the most important to your organization? The mission, the vision, or the core values?
In my experience, I believe it's the core values. We have to establish those core values and make sure that we follow them, and that's something that I've seen lacking in some instances. Whether it's hiring, whether it's um, ideas that come down from the staff, we need to make sure that those core values that we have are established, and we don't change them. We don't change them for one person. We don't change them to the next person, and that's where I've seen it lacking. And I think we need to stick to them. If we're going to have those values, we need to just make sure that we follow them to the letter.
Yep, that's fantastic. You know, at Holly Springs, we kind of cheated. Ours are actually HSPD, so you know it's kind of hard to forget what they are. But you know, a lot of times I see that core values or a vision statement or a mission statement is just something that's simply put up on the wall. So, how do you, as a lieutenant, how do you communicate, or even other leaders in the department, how do you guys communicate the culture of your organization, your core values, your vision, your mission? How do you guys communicate that?
And I hate to sound like I'm using the same theme and everything, but I think the way I communicate it to them and make sure that they understand that this is not something that's being forced on them, but something that they can, if they can participate in and see if this is something that is not working, then listen to them and make the changes necessary so that everyone is on board with it. It's easy to give somebody an order and say this is the way we're going to do it, but sometimes it doesn't always work that way. You may have to tweak it. You may have to change something. So I think by helping them understand that they are also in it for everyone, not just for themselves, and making sure that they're part of that process and taking ownership of the core values or the decisions or the rules or regulation, everything that we do in the department.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And you know, don't worry about sounding like you're beating a dead horse on this, because you're really not. You know, if more leaders thought about valuing the people that well, I hate using the word work for them, but the people that they work with, if they put more importance on serving them, man, what a wonderful organization and wonderful profession that we'd have, and people would just be flocking to hear to be a police officer because of the great culture of leadership. And it's unfortunate that sometimes it's not that way.
Right.
Well, the next question I'm going to ask you, I'm actually going to throw away. I kind of told you I was going to ask you what's the most important thing you do every day, but I'm going to change that up. You guys just went through a very interesting process. You guys actually just switched uniforms, like everything from top to bottom. And I understand that that was all left up to a committee. Am I correct in understanding that?
That is right, and I was actually the chairperson for that committee.
Oh, well, there you go. I didn't know that. So tell me a little bit about the process, about what went into that, and any kind of restrictions or limitations that you guys imposed.
Well, the restrictions didn't come from the chief or anyone like that. He actually formed the committee and said, I want everyone to participate. And again, that's the same philosophy that I have. If the committee, which is made up of every unit in the department, participates in the change, then we can turn around and say, well, we don't like this, or if the majority agrees with the uniform that we were going with, by bringing different colors, different schemes and everything, then you know, everybody seemed to be happy. So we had people from the detective division, the traffic unit, and the uniform patrol, and these people, we got together and then we looked at the different uniforms. We thought about the different colors. We brought some samples in, and when the committee decided on the three major colors, then we presented it to the whole department to vote on, and we went with the majority. So when the majority voted from every unit, this is the uniform that we came up with, and we've gotten a lot of compliments for it, because now at least everything matches.
I got to tell you, man, that uniform has got to be one of the sharpest uniforms I've ever seen. Now, when I was there, you know, it was gray and blue, but now you guys are blue and blue, you know, a blue top and a blue pants. But I think the absolute coolest thing are those subdued patches that you guys went with. Those things look sharp.
Yeah, now, you know, the patches matches the corporal stripes, which is gray and black, and it matches the sergeant's chevrons, and it matches our Class A uniform. So everyone is happy with the change, and I think it was needed.
Yeah, I do too. And you guys just got a new chief, so it was a very good time for number one for him to generate kind of some momentum and let people know that he's open to this kind of stuff, but also a good way to kind of talk about, well, heck, we're starting new, we're starting afresh, and we're not going to be imposed by the limitations that we used to have. We're moving forward in this direction, and what a win-win situation that was created with that whole thing.
Yeah, it did help, and he says, one of the things excuse me, the chief said that the uniform is not going to change the morale of the department, but it did make a difference in helping people feel good about the department. So it did. To me, I think it did make a difference in the morale of.
I think it made a huge difference. Man, in you know what, in kind of a sense, he's probably right. The uniform thing, or the uniforms themselves, probably didn't have very much to do with it at all. But just the fact of now they had a say in it. You're
Exactly.
generating buy-in, and man, what a wonderful thing. And I happen to think that they picked a good person to chair that.
Thank you.
Well, all right, Herman, we're going to move into my favorite part of this interview thing, and we're going to move into the lightning round questions. And what I'm going to do is I'll just ask you a question, and you shoot back at us with some amazing, mind-blowing answers.
I'll try.
Fantastic. Hey, what is one characteristic that you believe every leader should possess?
Above all, I think humility.
Humility.
You can never forget where you came from. If you came through the ranks, remember that even though you're part of the staff, you have to look out for the people again that they're doing, the job out there. Giving credit where credit is due, and remembering that you're only as good as the people that work for you. So I think
Awesome.
humility. I've always believed that in giving people credit where if they deserve the credit, I will give it to them. I will never take the credit away from anyone, because I think that helps that person's morale and self-esteem, and people see that and people appreciate that. So I think the humility to understand that it's not about me, it's about us, it's about the department.
Awesome. What is the number one behavior or trait that you've seen derail more leaders' careers?
Dishonesty, and I use dishonesty instead of lie because I think it sounds a little bit not as bad, but it's the same thing. Not following through, promising something, and then you don't follow through. I think that's been a major issue with leaders. They don't inform the people when they make changes or major change, and they're just not honest about why they did. They did those things, and I think that's what derails a lot of people. Derails a lot of leaders, and
I
people pick up on it. People know that when you're lying to them.
Yep, absolutely. You have people who've been doing this job 15, 20 years, and they've made a habit out of sniffing out the lies in somebody. So, man, they'll nail you every time on it. So, what is one mistake you witness leaders making more frequently than others?
Inconsistency, inconsistency in discipline, inconsistency in hiring processes. You know, like I said before, we have our core values as far as what we expect our people to be and what type of people we want to hire, but sometimes they're twisted just to benefit a certain person that is liked or known. Especially inconsistency in discipline, when you don't the management doesn't apply the discipline to only applies it to certain people and not to others, and I think that's horrendous, and it really affects everyone.
Yep, that's a real big morale killer.
Exactly.
Absolutely is. So, what advice would you give to someone going into a leadership position for the first time?
I would say something that I practiced, and I'm glad to see that our new chief did the same thing. Is go out and talk to your people. Talk not to the supervisor, but start with your officers. Just have a one-on-one meeting with them and find out how they feel about the department. What are some of the things that they see are lacking? Some of the issues that they face. And the chief, our new chief, actually did that. Met with all the officers first, then he met with the sergeants, and then he met lastly with the lieutenants. And from there, he he got a feeling for what the department was going through and what type of leadership was out there. So I think the best thing you can do is and make sure that you're honest with them and tell them, look, this is going to be something that is going to stay here. I'm not going to divulge any information that you give me, and try to make them feel that whatever they're telling you, it's going to remain confidential. But meet with all your officers in your unit and your department, whichever unit you have control over, and see what their feel is for what's going on.
Fantastic. That's really great advice. Now, this last question is kind of complicated, so take a few minutes or take a few seconds and chew on it for a minute, and then give us your answer. If you found yourself back at the beginning of your career and you still had all of the knowledge and experience that you currently have, what would you do differently?
Well, knowing by my personal experience, one of the things that I would do is actually be more vocal towards the things that I saw that were not being done correctly, or some of the things that we just let go, and nothing was done about it. Nobody ever stood up and say, this is wrong. It needs to change. And I think that's what I would be. I would be more vocal as to, with respect, of course, and not getting to the point of insubordination, but actually be more vocal as to, these are some of the things that we cannot allow in this department or in this organization to continue, because it's hurting us. It's not only hurting the department, but it's hurting our image among other people outside of the department.
Fantastic. That's awesome. Herman, you've been so generous with your time. Is there anything else that you want to cover in this interview, or any particular place that you want to point people, give a shout out to your agency, your chief, anything like that?
Yeah, I appreciate what the chief has done. I support everything he's doing, and I'm glad to see someone that comes in and it's really, he's by the book. You know what you expect with him. There's no hiding anything, and I really appreciate it. It's refreshing to see that after all these years. He believes in progressive discipline. He believes in bringing the department to where we need to be, a professional department, which is something that I always believed in. So I really appreciate the job he's doing for the Canton Police Department.
Well, fantastic. Well, Herman, thank you so much for spending some time with us, and you're awesome, man. You rock.
Thank you.
All right, hang tight. I'm going to